slightly alarmed by the amount that wheel's moving. But it's turning. But I think there might be some loose suspension.
Welcome to the shop. I'm Jared, and this is Wrench Every Day. And this is the very first wrenching episode here at the new shop. I'm just gonna call it Wrench Every Day headquarters in Georgia. When we are back home from our Florida trips, we now have a place to work and get stuff done and get more projects out to you. I am so very excited about that. Behind me is a 2002 Chevrolet Tahoe that was given to me by a friend. He was moving and it had sentimental value. He wanted to keep it, but the wife said no more. It had to go. Please come and get it. All that I can say for sure about the truck is it doesn't have reverse and the front differential was locked up.
I don't know how well that sound is coming through to you guys, but it's not good.
Now, normally when you have a GM product that has the transmission, it's called a 4L60E, if it has no reverse, that normally means a part that's called the sun shell has broken at the splines or stripped its splines. But this transmission was rebuilt not very long ago, making it less likely. The more likely thing, which we covered briefly in the introduction episode of the Tahoe, was there's a large breather cap on the front differential that just was gone. And all the oil had gone out and the differential failed, damaging the transfer case. So we are going to do the responsible thing, and rather than looking inside the automatic transmission that has a known flaw that gives us the exact symptom that the truck has, we're gonna put in a new transfer case and front differential thanks to the guys at J&J. They got them to me. I actually picked them up on the way home from Roadkill Nights. And also going into it, we need to do the water pump and some other basic maintenance. So we are going to cover our eyes about the obvious transmission problem, take care of maintenance, oil changes, and get the two parts that we know 100% are broken replaced, and maybe it works then. Our goal is to get this thing driving in this episode and working well, and that will set us up for the detail. This thing is filthy. It's sat, and it's currently much more of a wasp and ant mover than it is a people mover, but we're gonna cure all of that once we know it works. Now, one of the first things that I am going to do, aside from pick the car up safely and set it onto jack stands, because there's no lifts in here yet. Hopefully soon, hopefully soon. We're gonna get this thing up safely on jack stands, and I'm going to remove these aftermarket tubular running boards. We have the factory ones to go back in place, and I've been working on the belly, but it's still there. So getting rid of those is gonna give us a little bit more room to get underneath and get all of these parts taken out. So yeah, time lapse and music time. Let's get working. And welcome to Under the Truck. We're making some decent progress. As I was draining the transfer case, I was honestly a little worried. The fluid smelled a little too good, and I wasn't super optimistic that we were going to get lucky. We still may not, but if I grab the drive shaft, which is now separate from the differential, I should not be able to do this. There are stripped splines in that transfer case, which means we may get lucky, and what I'm hoping
all the damages in that transfer case. So we're gonna go back and just keep taking things apart. And my plan is to go ahead and split this transfer case open just to see what it looks like inside. Even though I don't have my fancy teardown tables yet, that's okay. We'll make a mess to get some reassurance maybe, right? We got you guys the camera so you can enjoy whatever is about to happen. We got one more bolt left, or nut, I should say. When you're doing this with the transmission staying, you can pull the cross member and get a little more room. What I'm trying is the trick that you slam it all the way back towards the torsion bar mount and then come back forward at a really weird angle. That sometimes works, and sometimes just you pinch your fingers and get frustrated a whole lot. So we're going on the hope that it's going to work and come right out. Also, you don't need to frickin' Hercules these bolts. Whoever put this in last time, they were eating their Wheaties that morning. Okay, so our transmission seal's leaking a little, because there really shouldn't be much for fluid there. Okay. Okay. Hey. Well, that was a brand new oil drain. No. Ow. Okay. Just like I wanted. Sort of. Okay. So that is out. And then we're going to find out if we're right or not. Okay. I can't turn this by hand, so hopefully all that stripping was right in there. Hopefully. So, as you will see in the time lapse, we were taking apart the transfer case to try to find that smoking gun, why I was able to hear the grinding through the transmission as we turned the drive shaft, and I felt pretty comfortable it was transfer case. Well, unfortunately, the transfer case looked nearly perfect, so to be able to turn the transmission, I have the output shaft and the input planetary set here, and we can still turn, which means that's the internals of the transmission broken. So we're not going to be able to just ignore that anymore. We're going to be on the hunt for a new transmission, but we'll continue on taking apart the front differential because that is broken and is what kind of backed up and caused this failure. So we didn't get lucky, but we didn't get unlucky. No, this is definitely unlucky. It's what we didn't want to have happen. Oh well. All right, and we have got the front differential assembly out, and the main reason why I just wanted to replace this right away is notice this big hole, and there's some threads, and here's the rest of the vacuum cap. This is a breather assembly that is supposed to be threaded in there, but was just dangling underneath, and it's hard to see without too much light, but the differential in there just does not look very good. So while it's turning free right now, it very likely was going to lock up at any given moment. There's our transfer case, which I was hoping our problem was, but our problem is still in there. The surprise, surprise 4L60E transmission is not behaving right. So there's the new transfer case from J&J and the front differential ready to go in, but it's gotten a little bit late and we are playing come in behind someone else. This has had a transmission installed and they've rounded off a good number of the exhaust nuts by using SAE instead of metric, and just other fun things that we've got to come behind. So we're going to go and get a fresh night's rest. I'm going to borrow a transmission jack from a friend that will work on the floor so we can pull the transmission, and hopefully we'll come in tomorrow, deal with those rounded off exhaust nuts, get the transmission out of it, and then start looking for a new one, because we're working on the weekend right now. So hopefully Monday we'll be able to track down a remanufactured one. And one of the big reasons that I am going with just buying an off-the-shelf unit is I could take it apart, I could rebuild it, save a little bit of money, but being that this is a vehicle that I'm either going to sell or potentially give away to someone who's in need, I would rather it be just absolutely perfect and have a warranty on a transmission that could go anywhere in the country. So as much as I would like to say I am the warranty, I am. For me, I can't follow this vehicle around the country, so we're going to take that step and make sure it's perfect. And also tomorrow we are going to tear into the water pump and get our spark plugs apart. So we'll have one vehicle completely torn apart, waiting on a couple things to come in, and then we start to put it together and hopefully it works. And it's the next morning, and I've already been working on the truck some. I kind of am delaying crawling underneath it. I had to go and pick up the transmission jack from our friend Randy at GRC. So I've got that so I can actually start to remove the transmission. I just didn't want to deal with the stripped bolts yet. So we started by pulling the water pump and spark plugs out of it. We've got the water pump actually here on the ground. And normally you would pull this fan. My tool requires air, and I don't have compressed air here yet, but let's see if I can hold this still enough. And you can hear how much that water pump is moving and banging. So that thing was properly shot, and that is why we have got kind of the coolant mess everywhere in here. It's just been topped off with water multiple times, so we're gonna have to flush it. All of our idlers are in good shape down for the AC, everything, but we're gonna need to get new belts. I'm going to get a new oil filler O-ring, and again, we've got all of our spark plugs out, so
It's time to get underneath and go ahead and fight those exhaust bolts, get them pulled off, and then pull the transmission and keep working on trying to find a new one so we can make this kind of forgotten vehicle as great as it possibly can be. Now, one thing you may notice too in the time lapse, I left a lot of my struggle. I want you guys to realize if you are wrenching at home on jack stands, professional or not professional, you're going to kind of have to fight and reach and reapproach things a whole bunch and kind of get frustrated. But that's how it is working on a car on jack stands. Even on a lift, you're going to run into it. So I kind of left that in to be real with you guys that, yeah, you're going to have to fidget a little bit, but you're going to get through it and be successful. And just like with this Tahoe, when you finally get done with whatever you're working on, through all that frustration, you reach the point that, hey, you did it and your vehicle's working and running and you're winning. So don't worry about a little bit of struggle. That's totally normal.
Welcome to the bottom side of the truck where I have been fighting for a little bit. And so if you're working on a project, take the time and use the right tool, because you may not have to deal with the repercussions of your actions, but somebody else will. So all of these exhaust nuts have been a problem, but we are down to just 2 of them being an astronomical problem, and that's stopping us from getting this transmission out. So this one is extra shiny. I have gone through every socket trick that I've got to try to get that one off. And then we have one hiding here. The way I would normally tackle this is probably my air hammer and just knock them off, but I don't have air here yet. So this section is trapping our transmission in, and we're basically at a complete standstill. And I went to try potentially welding nuts on, but both of my 240 plugs here in the shop have the big plugs, and the welders use the 30 amperes, so I can't plug that in. And then I also had a really nice extractor kit that probably would have worked, and it's not where it belongs anymore. So I'm gonna have to pick one of those up. So we are gonna clean up for the day. Kind of annoyed because we wanted to have everything out, transmission on the ground, and we'd be in a really good spot, but unfortunately, again, previous people installing it used the wrong sockets and rounded the nuts, which is one small problem, and then tools growing legs and not making the trip with the owner is the other problem. So I'll be finding a lot of things missing, but we're going to pick up different outlets so we can weld just in case in the morning, and we are going to pick up some extractors and hopefully have some success tomorrow where we can get the transmission out and find out exactly how much the new one's going to cost, start getting everything ready for that, and start putting the engine together. So we're making progress. We're going to make this poor, abandoned, long-forgotten Tahoe run really well. That's the goal. And again, this free truck's getting expensive.
Well, we have made progress, and it has been a pain in the butt. Just use the right size sockets, guys. If you have a question, ask and confirm, but hours and hours spent chasing rounded exhaust bolts. But we can come over here, and if you look up against the wall there, let's see if we can get the light to correct. There, we got the exhaust, which means when we come around here, we finally got this broken transmission out. So we're running into a little bit of a delay issue. Well, here, let's go over everything to get that exhaust off. So pulled out the welder. Unfortunately, excuse me, grasshopper. Pulled out the welder and only had flux core. I don't have gas, and I couldn't run and grab gas today. Made an adapter harness, and it did the best that it could, but there wasn't much room, and flux core just is not as good as shielded arc, and those welded nuts kept breaking, and I even tried welding sockets on, and those came off. So then it came down to cutting. We were able to cut off disc the driver's side, but the passenger side just took tons of Sawzall blades, but we're finally through it. And then, if I'm honest, I kind of forgot to put up a camera. I was just fighting and so frustrated that I got through most of pulling the transmission out, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to film this for you. So we got the camera and we got it dropped out, and there it is. So our new one unfortunately does not get in until Monday. For you guys, that means absolutely nothing, but that's a decent bit away, and I actually have to go to Florida for an event at Daytona and then come back, but that still leaves me with 3 days of working that I don't have parts to do. We could go ahead and do all of the water pump stuff, and then I've gone ahead and did Project Creep, where we ordered new rear air shocks, air lines, just a ton of stuff. I'm $3,700 into this free Tahoe, but it's going to be a really nice one. So we'll see you guys when we get a transmission. Man, I'm tired. We have made a ton of progress despite the truck's every effort to slow us down. You saw in the time lapse, we've got a transmission, we've got a front differential, we've got a transfer case, and I'm wearing some silicone from bench pressing it in there. We have new exhaust manifolds after fighting to try to get the damaged studs out. Randy remembered at GRC that he had a couple other ones that we grabbed, put those on. We have an exhaust system. We have drive shafts, front and rear wheels. We are almost there. I need a drive belt. I need new spark plug wires because one of them decided to break coming apart again. So we'll get those, we'll get the correct drive belt, and hopefully tomorrow morning before heading down to Florida for the weekend, I will be able to get all the fluids in it, and let's start this thing up and have it move all four wheels without horrible crunching noise. That's the goal, but as you can see, it's dark. It's time for sleep. We're gonna get cleaned up, and we'll pick it up in the morning. Good morning, and by morning I mean afternoon. We got up early, stopped by the parts store, and picked up all of those last little missing pieces, and I've just gotten them all thrown on there, and then cleaned up the shop a little bit. I was kind of getting aggravated with tools all around, and didn't look presentable. So we've got the tools put up to get you fully caught up. We have our engine oil, we have our coolant, we have transmission fluid, we have new spark plug wires, we have everything plugged in underneath, a battery installed, which it's time to see if the truck works, which I kind of really hope it does. We've got the new transmission, new transfer case, new front differential. Again, all the fluids you can really service taken care of, new water pump, which had failed catastrophically and was knocking really bad. So, let's see if it works. I'm gonna set you guys up in the tripod and we're gonna start the truck. Okay, so we can see the wheels, front and back. Let's find out. I really kind of hope so. All right, security. Okay, so it starts. That's a good sign. It's wanting us to change the engine oil, which means we just need to reset that warning. So, brake, reverse, okay, reverse. It's turning! Holy cow, we're working. Oh man, that's good. Alright, that's quiet and working. Neutral. Okay. We had lots of neutrals before. Drive. And we're driving. Get some speed. Shifting. All right. What about four-wheel drive? I hear stuff moving. I am slightly alarmed by the amount that wheel's moving. But it's turning. But I think there might be some loose suspension. Maybe it's just ABS. I don't know. We'll try driving it. So, go back into two-wheel drive. Come on, there we go. Yes! All right, okay. We're gonna put it on the ground and go for a quick drive just around the premises. Right, let me back up, there we go. We're gonna put it on the ground and just kind of drive around in the fields here since these tires might blow up at any given moment. But reverse, doesn't make horrible noises and it can move forward in the air. Let's try the ground. Well, it's driving, and it's driving pretty stinking good. The front end wobble that we were seeing is definitely a symptom of worn idler arms and pitman arms. So we're going to be doing suspension work, but we have got a truck that was initially free that we have spent about $3,800 between the transmission and all the little parts making it work. But it is a good running, albeit still needing a little bit of love, Tahoe that definitely is worth every bit of it. Trying to drive off-road while also talk to you guys. But man, I am excited. I am glad we were able to kind of go through this together. On my back, the first project out of the new shop in Georgia, which I can't tell you how I'm excited, how just really excited I am to have that and be able to share more videos with you guys while I'm not down in Florida. When we show up, we know we're going to be able to work. But this truck has one major problem still. It smells terrible. It's full of mold and gross. The paint needs a lot of love and work, and we're gonna get to that. So next Tahoe episode, we're gonna do the thing I hate most, and that's detail a vehicle. Because again, with it working this good, it really needs to start looking pretty good as well. So next time you see a Tahoe, we might even have a extra special guest to help detail everything here in Georgia. Man, I'm gonna tell you, those idler and pitman arms are not good. Even just slow speed, we get a little bit of wander. So, but join us next time when we wrench on the Tahoe, where we're going to make it look as good as it shifts, finally. We're able to drive it and not have to push it around. So, as always, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I'm Jared, reminding you to always make questionable choices. And sometimes free is one of the most expensive things you can have. We'll see you.